Welcome back, everybody. This is Rohana from Curriculum Edge, and this is our new segment on AI news. Our aim is to go over a few articles that give teachers insight into trends, how AI has been used in the classroom, and much, much more. Let's get started with our first article. Business Insider. Three teachers tell us the changes they're making in the classroom to address students' rampant use of AI. We can all definitely say that there has been an increase in the usage of AI in classroom just because of the wide accessibility of it now. Every day in news articles we see Claude, we see ChatGPT, we see Gemini, just a lot more accessibility recently. We'll be talking about three teachers and what they're doing in terms of classroom policy and their curriculums. So firstly, there's a statement from one of the teachers that says, Ward, who's been a teacher for about 30 years, said he's noticed students' usage of AI increase in increments until this year when it exploded. I think we can all say that AI is definitely a buzzword recently. One of the teachers actually at the Manchester Metropolitan University in Manchester, England, Richard Griffins, he says the university has developed an in-house system that educators can feed their assignments into, which then provide an assessment of how difficult it might be to cheat with AI and the recommendations to make it more difficult to do so. With this, it's kind of a gray area. You definitely have to strike the balance between making the assignment still at the grade level or at the skill level of the students. And with everything, it says the department have done their own tool and it assesses how safe AI is or AI savvy and will give you a bit of a grade to say, well, you can adjust it to make it more difficult, or okay, this assignment is, something that might not be able to be answered with AI. So that's one way, definitely leave your comments down below to see what your perspective is, what way would you go. Shifting back to the educator that we saw in the beginning of this article, Ward, he says, I've tried to sort of shift back towards some handwritten assignments instead of having them do it on the computer. That way I can tell this is how they're writing. I know it's theirs. I think that's a great perspective to have. I think that's definitely a different approach. The first approach was making the assignments harder. This is kind of changing the modality of the assignments. Definitely two different approaches. But of course, even Ward can't go analog for all the coursework because there's a barrier to that. It makes it harder to grade everything with handwritten assignments. Going down a little bit more, we can see a topic that's definitely hitting home for a lot of educators, as I've heard. The goal of a classroom is to generally empower the students with foundational skills, proficiency in research, deep thought, and comprehension, to name a few. By substituting the typical process of studying with seeking out AI answers, many students are no longer meeting those benchmarks. So, a lot of things in this article, but to summarize before we go into the next one, some institutions are deciding let's make the assignments harder. Some are saying let's shift modality, but it's still boiling down to the fact that now with AI, we're asking the question, are students still meeting the benchmarks? Are they still being proficient in the skill areas that they need to be? This will be the last article that we talk about today, and it's from South Australia Education. I think it's important not only to focus on education where we are, but globally to see what trends are persisting, what's worked, what hasn't. This article is called More Efficient and Easier: How AI Can Help Teachers Spend Less Time on Things Other Than Teaching. So going down a bit, we see here surveys in recent years have shown teachers do anywhere between 12.5 to 16.5 hours of unpaid overtime a week, the equivalent of 2 full extra days of work. I think it's important, whatever we can do to reduce that number, we should definitely invest into it. And we get another direct quote saying, it's not just saving me time from doing it, it's making it easier for me to do actual explanation of tasks because I've got a better example to work from. Very great usage of AI here. One instance that people may not often think about is that you can put examples that you have from your lesson plans into AI and then ask it, create a different type of scenario, create a hard example. And those are just simple ways that you can cut time out instead of having to research harder problems, of course, you check the work of the AI, you make sure that whatever model you're using, it's giving you the correct output that you'd expect. But just that level of simplicity of getting a new problem is definitely something that can knock down those 12.5 to 16.5 hours that we talked about earlier. But we're recalling that this article is focusing around Australia, and it says in a study by technology company Education Perfect, almost 20,000 students around Australia and New Zealand receive feedback on their own work using an AI powered tool after submitting written answers to questions. We anticipate AI is more efficient in numerical answers, true or false answers, but to see that Australia and New Zealand have a system that's already grading writing assignments, it would be great if we could get some additional data to see how accurate this grading has been, how teachers check over this information. Is this just AI is the final say, or do teachers also get some input about sentence structure, grammatical accuracy? So that data would be very, very important to see if this is working in Australia. It says here, in 2023, the South Australian education system was the first in the nation to welcome AI into the classroom with its own chat box, EduChat, developed with Microsoft. I think Microsoft is a company that we see is definitely leaning in towards education and AI in education. Well, with that said, that's it for this week's AI news. Thank you for tuning in. Next week, we'll definitely have some more technical articles about new technology. I think it was great that the first session we lay the groundwork on how AI is being used. Tune in next week. Thank you.